To get revenge on his wife's evil and cunning stepchildren, this incredibly wealthy chairman decided to marry his young female bodyguard. His plan was to squander his assets so the stepchildren wouldn't inherit a single penny. It all started not long ago. That day, Young Ran had an interview at Ga-sung Corporation to get a job as the personal bodyguard for Chairman Song-hoo. Young Ran came from a dirt-poor family. What's more, she was carrying a huge debt and seemed unable to pay it off. This was a good chance to clear her debt because, from what she'd heard, Chairman Song-hoo would pay very generously. After looking at Young Ran's resume, the Ga-sung Corporation's lawyer shook his head. They needed a bodyguard who was more quick-witted and younger than her age of 28. Knowing they were going to reject her, Young Ran immediately revealed that she had once caught a harasser on the train and received a Brave Citizen Award. But Lawyer Lee didn't care about those things. To prove her quick reflexes, Young Ran threw a punch toward Lawyer Lee. He was startled and almost fell, but Young Ran quickly caught him. She argued that a bodyguard needs to deal with unexpected situations because attackers will never give warnings. That was an example to show that she was capable enough. On the other side, Chairman Song-hoo had witnessed everything, and he was very impressed. So, he immediately ordered Lawyer Lee to hire that girl. Hearing the news that she passed the interview made Young Ran overjoyed. Young Ran's mission was to be on call 24/7 next to the chairman. There were no weekends and no days off. Young Ran was very eager to work because she really needed the money. Just then, Lawyer Lee received a call from his subordinate informing him that they had discovered Young Ran had a criminal record. Consequently, she was immediately rejected without any explanation. Young Ran walked away in utter despair. Her misery doubled when her high heels broke at that very moment. Young Ran angrily took out her frustration on the poor shoes, and Chairman Sung-ho noticed everything. According to Lawyer Lee's investigation, back in 9th grade, Young Ran was sentenced to 6 months in prison for stealing sanitary napkins at a convenience store. Because she was past the juvenile age, she had to go to a juvenile detention center. Chairman Sung-ho couldn't help but wonder about this. Just for an item worth 10,000 won, she had to serve 6 months in prison? But in this country, if you don't have money or power, no one will protect you, and anything can happen. Apart from that record, there were no other criminal offenses. Young Ran's experience as a bodyguard in other places was quite good. Also, she had a huge debt of up to 500 million won. Her mother, heavily in debt, had used her name to borrow that amount. Lawyer Lee thought that if she couldn't pay it back, she might end up at the Han River Bridge to settle the debt. After a moment of reflection, Chairman Sung-ho felt that one couldn't judge a person based on a few lines in a resume. He had been running the corporation for 30 years and was confident in his ability to read people. He liked people with many weaknesses. He noticed that all of Young Ran's clothes were cheap, her makeup was minimal, and even her shoes were very old. With that level of desperation, even if he was a bit unreasonable, she would grit her teeth and bear it. Then he told Lawyer Lee to call her because he had something to ask. Lawyer Lee called Young Ran to ask about the fact that after the interview, she had slammed her shoe against the wall. He wanted to know what she had said at that moment. Young Ran revealed, "I said sorry. Sorry for taking my anger out on the innocent shoes." Just hearing that, Chairman Sung-ho said that she was hired. He valued a poor person with a conscience like that. Receiving this news made Young Ran stunned with joy. From now on, she had become Chairman Sung-ho's official female bodyguard. The very next day, Young Ran packed her bags and moved to the chairman's house. Here, she helped a strawberry delivery guy avoid getting hit in the head by a door. Dongmin thanked her and was really focused on her. The housekeeper then briefly introduced everything here to Young Ran, telling her that the chairman would be in the main house, while the staff, like us, would be in the auxiliary building. Also, the kitchen is only in the main house. If you don't want to be hungry at night, remember to eat enough beforehand. This is the room that Young Ran will be staying in. She will be sharing it with the housekeeper's assistant. That girl, Hei, is also about the same age as Young Ran. Just then, Lawyer Lee called Young Ran because he needed to discuss something. After she left, the housekeeper opened Young Ran's luggage without permission. She shook her head when she saw the very old-fashioned clothes. Lawyer Lee explained the job to Young Ran, telling her that the daily schedule would be sent to her phone from 9:00 p.m. the previous night. The chairman doesn't like to talk much and doesn't like people interfering. After 11 p.m. she must stay in her room until morning and is not allowed to go out even a step. Here, Lawyer Lee also revealed that she is the 5th bodyguard this year. High salaries come with a reason. Young Ran returned to her room and saw that her bag had been opened. She thought that her roommate, Hai Ji, had opened it and criticized her. In response, Hai Ji said, "What would I get from rummaging through the bag of someone as pathetic as you?" Young Ran didn't care about those words, which made Hai Ji curious. Young Ran revealed, "I don't live in luxury to be hurt by those words." Hearing this really impressed Hai Ji. Hai Ji proactively wanted to be friends with Young Ran, to go to movies or have coffee and eat together. But Young Ran didn't like it because those things cost money, so she didn't want to. That evening, Chairman Sung-ho skipped dinner again because of the dishes the housekeeper cooked. At the same time, Young Ran was also there. The housekeeper saw her and told Young Ron to just eat it, saying it was top-grade Hangu beef. Young Ron didn't hesitate and immediately sat at the table. She was really excited to be playing the role of an aristocrat. Until she tried a bite, she understood why the chairman skipped meals. It was so bad that even someone like her couldn't eat it, which says a lot. Young Ran then had to search for instant noodles to eat. At this time, she discovered something suspicious inside the glass cabinet. She was about to open it to see when the housekeeper appeared, so she couldn't. Late that night, when everyone was sound asleep, Young Ran quietly left her room. She went to the kitchen to find that suspicious cabinet. Young Ran discovered that there was a hidden camera inside. She immediately removed it, and everything was captured by Chairman Sung Ho. In this house, he had secretly placed many cameras like that. Young Ran continued to look for other cameras. She found another one, and then threw a punch toward the frame, making Chairman Sung Ho laugh. The next day, Chairman Sung Ho criticized Young Ran for dressing so sloppily, saying, "What will you do if an attacker grabs that loose sleeve?" Young Ran rolled up her sleeve, revealing a large scar. At this time, Chairman Sung Ho understood the reason. Chairman Sung Ho then attended the launch of a new instant noodle product. The presenter was the chairman's wife's incompetent stepson, Sun Gu. Sun Gu's idea was to put pictures of popular music groups on the product. Chairman Sung Ho shook his head in dismay at this idea. Most customers who buy instant noodles are adults, while only teenagers are fans of those music groups. He always insisted that food businesses shouldn't compete with temporary marketing but with taste. He immediately left, leaving Sun Gu trying to hold him back. This incompetent son's track record was 3 business losses in his projects. That evening, the chairman's wife's stepdaughter called the housekeeper to ask about the new female bodyguard. The housekeeper revealed that from head to toe, she exuded poverty. The chairman won't like pitiful people like that, so there's nothing to worry about. The housekeeper also saw the chairman's recent health check results. She discovered that his cholesterol levels were very high. The chairman's diet was prepared by the housekeeper according to the requirements given by the stepdaughter, Seon Young. She wanted the chairman to die as soon as possible to inherit all the assets. The next day, Chairman Sung Ho visited the grave of his late wife, as today was her death anniversary. Seon Young was also present here. She kept staring at Young Ran with a suspicious look. When Chairman Sung Ho placed flowers on his wife's tomb, Seon Young knocked them away to place another bouquet. She criticized Sung Ho, saying that even though they were only married for a year, he should know what kind of flowers her mother liked the most. They were expensive and vibrant peonies. "Mother and I have lived comfortably since we were young, as daughters of a wealthy family." On the other side, the driver revealed to Young Ran that the chairman married a woman who had 2 stepchildren. She died in a traffic accident just 1 year after they got married. The chairman also has an illegitimate daughter. After bringing her back when she was grown, the chairman sent her to study abroad. But she got involved with drugs and men and died suddenly in the United States. The driver advised Young Ran to be careful with that girl. She always monitors every woman who approaches the chairman. The housekeeper will always report the chairman's every move to her. Just because of this fortune, they are always praying for Chairman Sung Ho to die soon. Outside, Chairman Sung Ho wanted to talk privately with Young Ran, so he told the driver to buy a cup of coffee. Immediately afterward, he asked about the scar on Young Ran's wrist. She said she was beaten, but she didn't reveal who hit her. Then it was her turn to ask Sung Ho, "Did the chairman install secret cameras?" At first, I thought the chairman was a pervert, but there aren't any in the bathroom or dressing room. Besides, it's strange that there's only 1 kitchen for 2 buildings. Is someone planning to kill the chairman? He immediately gave Young Ran a light smack and told her to continue looking for hidden cameras, just like a treasure hunt when she was a kid. Lawyer Lee informed the housekeeper that the chairman would not have lunch today. He also wondered why she, as a housekeeper, always wanted to be a chef. He implicitly advised her to stop because her cooking was too terrible. Immediately afterward, the housekeeper gave the food she had prepared to Haiji, but she was also fed up with the dishes she cooked. Lawyer Lee had to go buy fast food for Chairman Sung Ho. Apart from the fact that the housekeeper's cooking was now terrible, he couldn't trust food cooked by people planted by Seon Young. The next day, Lawyer Lee gave bonuses to the workers, and they would have a few days off to visit their hometowns. Haiji asked Young Ran when she was going home, and she said tonight, "Because my parents are both working, I'll go home a little late." Although she said that, Young Ran didn't want to go home. That evening, because she was hungry, Young Ran went to the kitchen to find something to eat. Just then, she ran into Chairman Sung Ho here. He asked about her progress in finding the cameras, and she revealed 2 in the lobby and hallway of the auxiliary building, 1 in the main house lobby, and 3 in the living room. Each window also has one, and there's one at the back door too. Immediately afterward, Chairman Sung Ho even personally cooked noodles for Young Ran to eat. Watching her eat reminded him of his own daughter. Seeing the chairman's pensive face, Young Ran understood who he was thinking about. Chairman Sung Ho said, "When I was penniless, I dated a woman. After we broke up, she gave birth to a child. That child grew up in an orphanage for 19 years without knowing anything about this father. Angry at being abandoned by the world, she resented me very much, always bristling at me like a hedgehog. But a hedgehog bristles to protect itself. On the other side, Seon-young asked the housekeeper and learned that the new female bodyguard might be coming home late. With the suspicion already in her mind, she couldn't sit still. So, she went to the chairman's house to check. Chairman Sung-ho saw Seon-young coming and told Young-ran to hide. She walked in, saw the bowl of noodles on the table, and her suspicion increased even more. Without a word, she searched all the rooms. She was sure that the new female bodyguard was hiding somewhere. This situation reminded Young-ran of the haunting memories of her childhood, when her father used to hunt her down to beat her in the same way. After checking and finding no one, Seon-young finally left. Then she advised Chairman Sung-ho to remember to eat the dish she had brought. But as soon as she left, he poured it all into the trash. The next day, the chairman called Young-ran to his office because he had something to say. As soon as she arrived, a secret door was opened. Young-ran stepped deep inside, where the chairman was already waiting. This room was where he observed everything, and only he and lawyer Lee knew about it. He showed Young-ran a picture of his daughter. Young-ran admitted that she had already read everything in the newspapers, but he said that drugs and men were not true. He insisted that his daughter was murdered. When she was 19 years old and came here, she wanted to study painting. And then I sent her to New York to study. He showed Young-ran a second picture of the person who killed his daughter, and that was Seon-young. At the time when his daughter was murdered, she was there. It was all for money. They see me as someone who stole the inheritance that should have been inherited from her mother. But then my biological daughter appeared, and you might inherit the management rights of the corporation. She was nothing but a thorn in their side. Sung-ho revealed that he was also about to die, at most only 6 months left. Before he died, he wanted to take revenge on them in the way they feared the most, which was inheritance. Sung-ho opened another secret room containing a safe for Young-ran to see. Inside were many gold bars and stacks of dollars. Witnessing those things, Young-ran understood that a bodyguard when protecting the rich would sometimes be offered a large sum of money to kill the client. She had prepared herself mentally, so she asked him what she would have to do for the chairman. But Sung-ho suddenly took out a ring and wanted to propose to Young-ran and his revenge plan. If she agreed, Young-ran would become the owner of Gasung Corporation, but with one condition. She had to help him take revenge on those 2 children. The case of his biological daughter had passed 15 years, so there was no evidence. Now he wanted to use Young-ran as bait to lure them into a trap. Once Young-ran's identity was made public, they would definitely try to get rid of her. At that time, he would set a trap and arrest them all with the charges of conspiracy to murder and attempted murder. Hearing this made Young-ran really scared, so she rejected this deal. She thanked the chairman for everything over the past few days and then left. Returning to her room, Young-ran packed her things to leave. Just then, she received a call from her mother, and she asked to borrow money again. This made her even angrier. Young-ran now had no turning back, so she decided to return to wear the wedding ring, and she accepted this extremely risky deal. The next day, lawyer Lee had already prepared a contract for Young-ran. The contract would take effect immediately after Chairman Sung-ho passed away. 3 months after the chairman's death, there would be a meeting to elect the representative of Gasung Corporation. At that meeting, Young-ran would use her most valuable vote to ensure that the 2 sisters wouldn't dare to set foot near Gasung again. Only when these procedures were completed would she have the right to inherit. Also, the death of the chairman had to be carried out by Young-ran herself. At that time, lawyer Lee would record everything. If Young-ran didn't follow the plan, she would have to go to jail with the video as evidence that she had harmed Chairman Sung-ho. Reaching this point, Young-ran had no other choice. She signed it and bet her whole life on it. The next day, the plan began to be implemented. Young-ran secretly put laxatives into the driver's coffee. He drank it without any suspicion. Immediately afterward, the driver began to feel stomach pain, so he couldn't take the chairman. And then, Young-ran replaced him as planned. It turned out that both of them were going to get a marriage certificate, so they couldn't let the driver know. Here, lawyer Lee was already waiting for both of them. The employee doing the paperwork couldn't help but be surprised because the age difference between the 2 was too great. Even so, there was no reason to object because this was a legal marriage. After completing the procedure, the 2 also took a wedding photo like everyone else. Returning home, the 3 continued to discuss the next plan. Young-ran would move to a remote rural village to live for 3 months. It was a secluded place that was very convenient for her to hide from those who were hunting her. Moreover, when the 2 sisters sent assassins, it would be the perfect place to set a trap. Lawyer Lee had also prepared a resume for Young-ran with a new name. Once she got there, she would be a kindergarten teacher, a profession that is least suspicious and harmless. Standing outside, the housekeeper was eavesdropping on everyone talking, but a quick-witted bodyguard like Young-ran immediately discovered this. She went over and opened the door, causing her to fall flat on her face. While he was at it, Chairman Sung-ho also said straight to her face, "I'll give you more money than Seon-young, so please don't cook anymore." Then he gave her a powerful black card, and how could she refuse? Lawyer Lee continued to remind Young-ran, before the meeting in 3 months, absolutely don't die. Today, Dong-min continued to bring strawberries to the chairman. Here, the chairman ran into him, so the 2 chatted for a while. The chairman was curious as to why the strawberry from Yutrang was so particularly delicious. Dong Min revealed that for strawberries to grow well, the weather year-round can't be too hot or too cold. The soil must be fertile, and there must be plenty of water. The land of Mutrang is a place where all of those things come together. So what does the chairman think of our strawberries taste? Of course, they're delicious. If they weren't delicious, I wouldn't have been eating them until now. In the distance, Lawyer Lee told Young Ran that that guy isn't a main character or a supporting character. He's an extra, so don't be curious. A little later, Young Ran received a call from Chairman Sung Ho. She heard his cries for help and couldn't help but panic. She hurriedly ran to his room where Chairman Sung Ho was lying collapsed on the floor in agonizing pain. Young Ran immediately took him to the hospital. Over the past time, he had been secretly using painkillers to prolong his life. But the situation had worsened greatly, so the doctor advised him to prepare himself mentally, saying he might not last more than 3 months. Standing outside, a female nurse overheard everything. Immediately afterward, she called Seon-young to reveal this. When the chairman was in the final stages of cancer and wouldn't live much longer, the two gay sisters smiled brightly, as if they were having a bumper harvest when they heard that good news. They began to think about the prospect of taking over the entire Gasung Corporation, something they had always thought of as the legacy their mother left behind. The next day, Chairman Sung Ho decided to be discharged from the hospital and go home. He planned to euthanize himself tonight. He couldn't endure this pain any longer. He told Young Ran to go see the director of the hospital to get the medicine and follow the plan. The director advised Young Ran to only use it when the chairman was in too much pain. That was the medicine to end Chairman Sung Ho's life. Young Ran returned listlessly with the package of medicine in her hand, as she wasn't really ready to harm the chairman. Sung Ho was about to open the safe to get something when Young Ran came in. He told Young Ran to go to the kitchen to see if the housekeeper had prepared the noodles yet because he wanted to eat them in his last moments. After Young Ran left, Sung Ho immediately set up a camera to record himself. He looked at his daughter's picture in his last moment, and then slowly pulled out a gun and pointed it straight at his head. In the kitchen, Young Ran heard a very loud gunshot from the chairman's room. Startled, she dropped the bowl of noodles she was about to bring in to him. Young Ran panicked and ran in, but Chairman Sung Ho was no more. He did that because he didn't want Young Ran to be burdened with anything, and more than anything, he trusted Young Ran would succeed with the plan he had laid out. The next day, the television news reported on the death of Chairman Sung Ho. The two gay sisters were the happiest people at this time, but they couldn't have imagined that everything was just beginning. Lawyer Lee was also present to remind the two to come to the funeral home. Seon-young didn't care and immediately asked about the shareholder meeting in 3 months. She wanted to put her younger brother in the position of chairman of the corporation, but Lawyer Lee revealed that there had been a change in the will. Hearing that, the two were shocked. The two sisters went to the funeral home and saw Young Ran already there. Incidentally, Lawyer Lee also introduced that 1 month ago, this Young Ran had registered to marry Chairman Sung Ho. At this time, the two were truly stunned. They also saw Young Ran wearing their mother's wedding ring. Song-gu was about to step forward to cause trouble, but Lawyer Lee stopped him. In her irritation, Seon-young touched Young Ran. But she wasn't someone to be trifled with and immediately asserted, "From now on, I'm your mother." After Young Ran's identity rose to a new level, the housekeeper flattered her, saying "yes, madam," until her mouth was sore. And her roommate, Hey, still couldn't believe this story. On the other side, the two gay sisters summoned a team of lawyers to plot to reclaim the assets. But they were helpless because this marriage was completely legal. Sung-gu angrily claimed that the entire assets were left by my mother. But since she passed away, Chairman Sung Ho's assets have increased a lot. In short, it's very difficult to do anything about Young Ran. Seon-young then called the housekeeper. She wanted her to find every way to keep Young Ran here. Don't let Young Ran leave the house even a step. As usual, Seon-young promised a big reward. The housekeeper then revealed this to the driver. If the two could keep Young Ran here, they would get 100 million from Seon-young. Standing nearby, Haiji overheard everything. Immediately, Haiji went to see Young Ran to tell her about this, saying that the housekeeper and the driver were planning to keep her here. Seon-young promised to give 100 million if they succeeded in keeping her. The next day, the housekeeper made coffee for Young Ran and didn't forget to put sleeping pills in it, and the driver prepared a golf club in advance to attack her. Thanks to Haiji, Young Ran foresaw everything. She threw the cup of coffee straight at the housekeeper's face and then turned to knock down the driver, who was waiting to ambush her. Immediately, Young Ran left there. The housekeeper told the driver to quickly chase after her, but the car keys in the house were all in Haiji's hands. She bluntly dropped each one into the pot of stew, leaving the two with nothing to do. At the crematorium, Seon-young's people announced that Young Ran had run away, and she immediately ordered them to quickly bring her back. Lawyer Lee called Young Ran to ask about the situation. Young Ran decided to switch to Plan 2 because Seon-young had already acted. She would go to the airport to meet him, but she wouldn't get on the plane. She would go by bus because she knew that Seon-young's people were coming to the airport to hunt her down. At the airport, Lawyer Lee gave Young Ran an ID card with a new name, Sei-mi. She would have to live under that name for the next 3 months. He reminded Young Ran that when she got there, don't meet any men out of loneliness. A woman's life is mostly messed up because of men. But Yang Ran immediately said that there was no room for romance in my life. After a long journey, Yang Ran arrived in the rural area of Mu Trang. At the bus station, she received a message from the principal of the kindergarten. She said that my cousin will come to pick you up soon. It turned out that the cousin of the principal was Dong Min, a strange coincidence that made Yang Ran freeze. She was afraid that he would recognize her, so she turned her face away. After dodging around for a bit, Yang Ran finally introduced herself as Teacher Say Mi. Luckily, Dong Min couldn't recognize her either. Sitting in the car, Dong Min sensed that this girl kept avoiding his gaze, so he asked Yang Ran, "Have we ever met before?" Yang Ran immediately said, "I haven't met you, or have you seen me somewhere?" After staring intently to get a good look at her face, he shook his head. Sun's lawyer discovered during the investigation that Yang Ran had a criminal record back in 9th grade for theft, and her mother had also been to prison for fraud. Knowing this, Sun wanted her lawyer to use that information to attack her in court, painting a picture of someone with a criminal past who manipulated the chairman of a multi-billion-dollar corporation when he had amnesia, so that he transferred all his assets to her. In addition, accuse her of manipulating Chairman Sung-ho's mind to the point of causing his death. And then, she disappeared without a trace after his funeral. On the other side, Dong Min took Yang Ran to the place where she would be staying. The principal said it was urgent, so he and everyone else had quickly cleaned up this house. Dong Min couldn't help but wonder why Yang Ran, who graduated from a prestigious university, would choose this remote rural area to apply for a job. She immediately said, "I like the famous strawberries here." Dong Min also has a son who is in kindergarten. He learned that Yang Ran graduated from the prestigious Shan Women's University. So he also revealed that he used to work as a part-time gym teacher there. Dong Min asked so many things, and this made Yang Ran feel annoyed. So she advised him to pay less attention to me and subtly sent Dong Min away. The friend Taemin just read an article about the late Chairman Sung-ho, where the press wondered who the female bodyguard, 40 years younger, who married him was. Dong Min wondered to himself if he had ever met her before, because he had delivered strawberries to the chairman's house many times. Inside, Yang Ran opened her luggage and there was a gun and a magazine. A while back, Chairman Sung-ho had given it to her. He knew that once her identity as his wife was revealed, people would point fingers and be nasty no matter what. Yang Ran wasn't worried since she'd heard every insult in her life already. Chairman Sung-ho warned her beforehand that this revenge plan would be very dangerous. He gave this gun to Yang Ran because he knew a life-or-death battle would happen, and he hoped the one who lost wouldn't be Yang Ran. Once Yang Ran laid a hand on that person, she'd definitely get a 5-year prison sentence at the very least. So she wanted Sung-ho to use his money to make sure she spent the shortest possible time in prison. Back at the house, Yang Ran felt hungry, so she looked around for something to eat. But there were only 2 bottles of water in the fridge. Outside, Dong Min and Taemin were making pancakes. Just then, Yang Ran came out, and they both nudged each other about who should invite her to eat. Because he was nervous in front of women, Taemin switched gears and asked Yang Ran if she knew how to make pancakes. She said no, and then left. At the same time, Dong Min received a text message about a meeting concerning the new teacher. Everyone would gather at the Mu Trang supermarket at 8:00 p.m. On the other side, the son, Sun Gu, went to a private investigation agency. He wanted to track down Yang Ran and kill her, but the boss there refused the deal, even at the price of 100 million. There are security cameras everywhere in Korea, so killing someone would get you caught right away. Plus, his agency focuses on tracking down debtors and collecting debts. As for killing someone for 100 million, he shook his head. Hearing that, Sun Gu switched gears and wanted to find Yang Ran and her mother first. Then he warned the boss to find them quickly if he wanted to make money. That evening, the people in the village held a meeting about the new teacher. For the past 2 years, the school had seen 5 teachers come and go, and all 5 disappeared without a word. Among them, 3 had committed petty theft, embezzled funds, and had affairs. The other 2 had promised the children they would stay until they graduated, but they also ran away after getting paid. This time, Dong Min wanted everyone to be very careful with the new teacher. You can't judge a book by its cover. Just then, Yang Ran showed up to buy ramen. Seeing that, everyone scattered. They also pretended to shop, but their main goal was to observe everything about Yang Ran. They asked around and found out that there was nothing to eat at Yang Ran's house. They looked at Dong Min, and he said that food expenses were already included in the rent. After Yang Ran left, everyone turned to criticizing Dong Min for not preparing anything for her to eat. Then they all told Dong Min to chase after her and feed her. It was so difficult to recruit a teacher, so everyone really wanted to keep Yang Ran around. If they lost her this time, the school would have to close, and their children have to take a bus for hours to go to the next town to study. Moreover, they learned that Yang Ran graduated from the prestigious Shan University. This is a golden opportunity for their children to receive a quality education like the schools in the city. So everyone is determined to do whatever it takes to keep the teacher. Here, everyone wondered why Mr. and Mrs. Haru didn't come to the meeting. Mr. and Mrs. Haru are worried because they learned that the new teacher from Soon School has moved in. Mr. Haru used to be a chef at a famous restaurant in Soon. He stole the recipe and went back to his hometown to open a restaurant exactly like it. He fears that if the new teacher has ever eaten at the restaurant in Seoul, she will immediately discover this fake brand. Even so, he tells himself that the teacher won't last long anyway. In the meantime, he will ban the new teacher from eating here. On this side, Dong-min offered to carry the bag for her, but Young-ran refused. He also apologized for not preparing food for her. Then he wondered why she always hated other people's kindness. In response, she said that kindness must be perceived as kindness by the receiver. Soon after, Dong-min gave the meal schedule to Young-ran. Breakfast at 8:00 and dinner at 7:00. He wanted to know if she avoided any foods. She said rice with beans. Dong-min couldn't help but be surprised when he saw an adult who couldn't eat rice with beans for the first time. Before that, Lawyer Lee had shown Young-ran Dong-min's file. Dong-min is Lawyer Lee's cousin, a former national Taekwondo gold medalist, but unexpectedly left the team. Lawyer Lee also advised Young-ran to stay as far away from Dong-min as possible. If Dong-min goes crazy, the whole village will be involved. Meanwhile, Lawyer Lee fired the housekeeper and the driver for what they had done to Mrs. Young-ran, leaving them to beg and plead. Lawyer Lee implicitly called them dogs, and a dog that is bitten once will bite again. Then he gave them some money called contract compensation. At this point, the only option left for both of them was to return and join Seon-young's side. Lawyer Lee only kept Hae-ji. From now on, she will stay in this house until Mrs. Young-ran returns. At the same time, he asked Hae-ji not to prepare meals. Except when eating, he also asked her not to wander around the main house area. Hae-ji also wanted to know where Young-ran was now, but how could Lawyer Lee reveal that? The principal, Mi-sun, thought that the new teacher was well-educated and came from a good family, too suitable for her younger brother, Lawyer Lee. Moreover, Lawyer Lee himself introduced the teacher here, so Mi-sun thought that he must have secretly introduced her to her. In response, Dong-min advised his cousin to be careful with the new teacher when fake degrees and fake experiences are everywhere these days. In particular, you must ask her former workplace to see if there are any issues involved. On this side, Seon-young's people checked the security cameras at the airport. They saw Young-ran appear that day, but they couldn't figure out where she was going. They got information that Lawyer Lee had changed the date of the will announcement to the date of the shareholder meeting, saying that all heirs must be present on that day. Seon-young's people have checked all the VIP safes at the bank, but there are no safes registered in the name of Chairman Sung-ho or Lawyer Lee. Seon-young was sure that the safe was still in the house. She asked to call Lawyer Kim to pin some kind of crime on Lawyer Lee in order to kick him out of the house. At the same time, she wanted to report Young-ran's disappearance. On the other side, the principal, Mi-sun, reviewed Young-ran's resume. Besides the extremely impressive academic CV, Mi-sun was quite curious to learn that Young-ran had participated in many volunteer activities abroad. Young-ran revealed that my parents also often volunteered, so I was heavily influenced. Hearing that, Mi-sun thought that this was truly the legendary Confucian scholar's family, a model teacher she was looking for. While Mi-sun was introducing Young-ran to the school, the guy Song-tae came here aggressively. Now that the land of this school is about to be bought by him, he intends to demolish the school next year to build a nursing home. Standing outside, Young-ran heard everything. Just then, Mi-sun received a call from the university that the new teacher used to attend. They had checked the information about this teacher, but there were quite a few people with the name Se-mi that they knew who were a bit older. She was born in 1972, not 1994. Mi-sun still couldn't believe it and continued to ask the person on the other end to check the new teacher Se-mi's information carefully to see if there was any mistake. In the next room, Young-ran knew what was happening. She immediately called Lawyer Lee for help. Meanwhile, Mi-sun called the kindergarten where Young-ran had supposedly taught, according to her job application. She wanted to find someone named Se-mi, born in 1994. They confirmed that there was such a teacher, and she had resigned a month ago. Hearing this, Mi-sun was finally relieved. Just then, Young-ran knocked and entered. Mi-sun hadn't hung up when the person on the other end said that they got $1,000,000 just for telling a few lies. Hearing that really stunned Mi-sun. Mi-sun was about to call the police when she realized that this teacher Se-mi was a fake. But Young-ran snatched her phone. Mi-sun trembled and asked Young-ran who she was. Young-ran kept getting closer, making her really scared. Mi-sun opened the window to call for help, but Young-ran pulled her back. At this point, Mi-sun wondered how she had seduced her younger brother. Or are they two have some kind of relationship already? Hearing that, Young-ran called Lawyer Lee to let him explain everything himself. Lawyer Lee advised his older sister to calm down. Then he revealed that the girl was Chairman Sung-ho's wife. Knowing this truth shocked Mi-sun. After hanging up, Young-ran made an offer to Mi-sun. She knew that the land on which this school stood was about to change hands and was facing the risk of demolition. So she promised to buy back the land so that the school could continue to operate. In return, for the next 3 months, Mi-sun must let Young Rang live peacefully as a kindergarten teacher here. Then Mi-sun will become the real owner of this school. After hearing this, Mi-sun nodded repeatedly and addressed her as madam until her mouth was sore. Dongmin was outside after hearing the principal's call. He heard her calling someone madam and saying that lying wasn't wrong as long as you don't get caught. Immediately, Dongmin opened the door and asked Mi-sun what she had just said. "Who is madam?" Mi-sun pretended to be on the phone and said that she was talking to the madam at her church. Then Mi-sun subtly kicked Dongmin out. Mi-sun and Young Ran then continued to discuss what they were talking about earlier. Mi-sun thought that a verbal agreement was not valid, so she wanted to draw up a written contract to make sure. Young Ran promised to discuss this with lawyer Lee later. Hearing that made Mi-sun overjoyed. Young Ran revealed that only Mi-sun knows that she is an imposter in this whole village of Emtrang. So she wanted Mi-sun to keep her mouth shut and not let anyone know. She also revealed that I only graduated from middle and high school, and I even had to go to reform school for stealing sanitary napkins, and everything in my resume is fake. If you're more curious about me, just find some articles to read. Only the fact that they call me a gold digger is completely untrue. Moreover, lawyer Lee and I don't have the kind of relationship you think we do, because he's not my type. Outside, Young Ran received a call from the camera installation staff. They had installed many cameras around the area according to her request. Meanwhile, Dongmin was still suspicious of this new teacher. He asked Mi-sun if she had thoroughly checked her resume. Mi-sun firmly insisted that she had. She had directly called Shan University to check everything, and there were no mistakes in her education or experience. On the other side, Song-gu and his gang went to this woman to ask about Young Ran's mother, So Young, since they were both in prison for multi-level marketing fraud. But Ms. Han-uk insisted that she didn't know anyone with that name. Song-gu promised to buy 100 bottles of her foot soak. In return, he wanted to know where Ms. So Young was now, but Ms. Han-uk still refused to say. After they left, Ms. Han-uk called Ms. So Young. She revealed that a group of people had come to ask about her. Ms. So Young advised Ms. Han-uk, "If anyone asks about me, just say you don't know." At the same time, Ms. So Young's colleague had heard everything. She was the person lawyer Lee had planted to monitor Ms. So Young. Soon after, she texted lawyer Lee that someone was looking for Ms. So Young. On this side, the principal, Mi-sun, asked Young Ran to watch the children for a while because she had to go meet the guy selling toys for the school. Being a teacher for the first time made Young Ran really confused, and even more confused when she saw 2 children fighting over toys and couldn't persuade them. Young Ran angrily took out a pile of toy bricks and threw a punch that broke them in half. At this point, the children were silent and listened to teacher Young Ran. From here, Young Ran started teaching the children how to defend themselves. Since there are more than 30 cases of child abuse in the country each year, she took a dinosaur as an example to illustrate a bad guy and instructed the children how to respond to a bad guy trying to attack them. She knocked down the dinosaur and repeatedly punched it. The children cried and wailed when they saw that their dinosaur was broken. Hearing the crying, Dongmin and Mi-sun immediately arrived. He asked Young Ran what she was doing. Then he pulled Young Ran outside to talk for a moment. Young Ran explained, "I just wanted to teach the children how to defend themselves when there are always bad guys lurking around them. But teaching self-defense in the classroom without safety equipment would be very dangerous. If they get hurt, they'll be disabled for life. You two caused an accident in Sen, so you moved down here." Hearing this, Young Ran was really hurt. Up there, Mi-sun discovered that the parents' tuition fees had vanished. She searched everywhere but couldn't find them. Mi-sun suddenly remembered Young Ran when she said that she had been to reform school for stealing sanitary napkins. Thinking of this, Mi-sun pulled Young Ran into the room to talk quietly. She asked Young Ran if she had seen a white envelope that she had left on the table, as the money inside had disappeared. Young Ran remembered the guy who had come to see Mi-sun earlier to sell toys to the school. She checked the security camera and saw that the guy was at the grocery store. Immediately, she rushed there. Dongmin saw this and ran after her. When they arrived, Young Ran grabbed him to ask about the envelope. He kept insisting that he didn't know anything, but Young Ran didn't believe him. At the police station, the guy was very angry that Young Ran thought he was the one who stole the money. Mi-sun kept apologizing to the guy because she had used that money to pay the utility bills and had forgotten. On the way back, Young Ran asked Dongmin why he had followed her then. "Did you think I ran away because I was hurt by the words at the schoolyard? You've misunderstood me a lot. I'm not a bad person, and I'm not a weak person either." Dongmin apologized for saying things that hurt Young Ran. But because he had also suffered injuries while playing sports, he was a bit grumpy when he found out that she taught the kids how to defend themselves like that. Returning to the classroom, Young Ran inflated the dinosaur for the children and wrote an apology to the children on the dinosaur's torn belly. Outside, the president of the Parents Association was waiting for Young Ran. Then she offered to take Young Ran home. Sitting in the car, she said that whenever someone new comes to Mutrang, we treat them to a meal to get to know each other, and it's better to start in a friendly way. "I don't know what this teacher likes." Young Ran found out that she had been on a call to find out her preferences, and the person on the other end was 2 other parents listening in to prepare a meal for the new teacher. Knowing this, Young Ran only said luxurious dishes so they couldn't prepare them, such as first-class Hangu beef, and the abalone must be the natural type caught in the Wando Sea. Soon after, Young Ran asked to get out of the car even though there was still a distance to go. On this side, Haiji entered Chairman Sung-ho's office without permission. She knew that there was a secret room here, so she searched all the bookshelves but couldn't find a way to open it. Haiji sat at the chairman's desk. She wondered why everything here was black, but this pen was red. She picked it up and a secret door opened. Haiji was really surprised to stand in front of this secret room of the chairman. She discovered on the table Young Ran's fake resume, along with a photo of the kindergarten in the village. Just then, Haiji saw the housekeeper and the driver outside the gate. Immediately, Haiji went to open the door. They were about to enter the house, but she stopped them. Here, the housekeeper asked Haiji if she could contact Young Ran because Sun was about to sue her. Sun said that if we testify in court, she will reinstate us and give us a generous bonus. Hundreds of millions, not a joke. Haiji revealed that she didn't know exactly where she was, but she was sure that if she observed Lawyer Lee for a few more days, she would find out. Then she promised to contact the two of them after finding out where Young Ran was. And inside, Haiji cursed the two of them as fools, as information about Young Ran must be worth billions, not hundreds of millions. That night, Dong Min and his son came to the house for dinner. Because there wasn't enough food, Dong Min went to the kitchen to prepare more. At this time, someone texted him. Seeing that, the son opened it and read aloud that, as you said, the new teacher probably caused some accident in Soon and sneaked back here. Dong Min ran out to stop him, but it was too late, and Young Ran immediately went home in frustration after hearing those things. Returning home, Young Ran called Lawyer Lee. She revealed that the people of Mutrang were starting to suspect her identity. Lawyer Lee advised Young Ran to be friendly with the people so that she could live in peace and to see it as another task in the plan. At the same time, Dong Min and Taemin were also outside. Both brought strawberries to Young Ran, as an apology for the text message earlier. But Young Ran said that she didn't like strawberries anymore. Then she walked straight into the house. The next day, Young Ran began her plan to befriend the people of Hmong. She waited for the president of the Parents Association to pass by and asked for a ride. Here, Young Ran revealed that she was planning to invite everyone to a friendly meal. I'm planning to have a welcome party in my yard today. Hearing that, she immediately agreed with both hands. Immediately, the president of the Parents Association sent out a notice that at 5:00 p.m. today there would be a celebration welcoming the new neighbor. Everyone put aside their work and attended in full. On the other side, Lawyer Lee returned home and didn't see Haiji anywhere. He called, but she had also turned off her phone. He ran to Haiji's room and found out that she had packed up and left. Meanwhile, the people in Mang were preparing everything for the welcome party. Dong Min came into Young Ran's house, but she stopped him, because on the table was a computer tracking the cameras that she had secretly placed. Fearing Dong Min would find out, Young Ran had to use her feminine wiles. She took the initiative to walk towards him and hug the photo in her arms. While Dong Min was waiting for a sweet kiss, Young Ran reached out and folded the computer, making Dong Min unable to understand what was going on. At the same time, Haiji unexpectedly appeared here. She came in to greet her friend after many days of reunion. Seeing the presence of Haiji made Young Ran stunned. After regaining her composure, Young Ran introduced Haiji to Dong Min, saying she was her friend. Then she asked Dong Min for permission to talk to this friend privately for a moment. Soon after, Young Ran turned to Haiji and asked how she knew she was here and if Seon Young was sending her. Haiji revealed that Seon Young promised a big reward if she found her somewhere. So she asked Young Ran what she really wanted, how much money it would take for her to shut up and disappear quietly. Haiji replied, 1 billion or 10 billion? Hearing that number made Young Ran's blood boil. However, Haiji only said that she was joking and didn't really need money right now. What she wanted was to be friends with Young Ran, to go out for coffee, eat, or watch movies with this friend. Otherwise, she would reveal everything to the people in the village. Hearing that, Young Ran agreed to shake hands and be friends with Haiji while begging her not to do anything stupid at the party. Young Ran walked outside, and everyone showed banners to welcome her. Young Ran was a little confused by the villagers' enthusiasm. Then she invited everyone to sit at the table for a meal. On this side, Lawyer Lee wondered why the lights in the secret room were turned on. He checked the security camera and discovered Haiji had been in there. He went crazy when he learned the truth. On the other side, an aunt told everyone that they should verify the new teacher. Soon after, the village policeman revealed to Young Ran, I have a younger sister named Shanghai who used to study at Waishan Girls' School. If you used to study there, you probably know my Shanghai, right? Seeing that Young Ran didn't know how to answer, Haiji immediately jumped in and said that she only knew her face because Shanghai had very beautiful eyes. Taking advantage of this, Young Ran also immediately affirmed that this was true. The policeman was about to ask more questions, but the principal, Mi-sun, cleverly changed the subject to another issue and announced some good news to everyone, saying that the rumor that the new teacher had come to our kindergarten had spread throughout the town, so the number of students was expected to increase next week. Then she invited Young Ran to say a few words. Young Ran thanked everyone for welcoming her so warmly. She also knew about the bad things about the previous teachers. She affirmed that she would definitely be different from them and hoped to receive the trust of everyone in the village. The policeman turned to Haiji and asked if they had ever studied together in the kindergarten department. Haiji revealed that she studied ballet. She wanted to perform for everyone. Haiji took out her ballet shoes from her bag and put them on. She told Taemin to turn on the music for her to perform. With her forte, Haiji made everyone unable to take their eyes off her. At the same time, Young Ran received a call from lawyer Lee. He knew that Haiji was there and took responsibility for himself. At the same time, lawyer Lee was checking to see if Seon-young knew about this yet. Young Ran revealed that the people were starting to trust her, so she wanted to implement the plan she had outlined. And then lawyer Lee posted a video of Song-gu on social media. Outside, the village tough guy Song Tae was also present. He was drunk and wanted to perform a song for everyone, but because he sang so badly, no one could stand it. Haiji couldn't take it anymore and turned off the music altogether. Song Tae angrily turned around and criticized everyone for treating him like this. Did everyone hate him that much? Everyone depended on him for a living, so why did they look down on him like that? By the way, Young Ran also made it clear about the lease of the kindergarten land. According to the land lease law, the term extends to 10 years. Everyone has only rented for 4 years and there are still 6 years left on the contract. So Song Tae had no reason to reclaim the land and demolish the school. Moreover, after Young Ran came here, he offered her 3 million to leave the kindergarten. But she didn't accept it. Knowing this, everyone turned to criticizing him. Song Tae warned Young Ran that if she came here, she had to follow his rules. He angrily tried to hit her, but Dongmin stopped him, and then everyone chased him away. On this side, Miss So-young revealed to her colleague that she would change her name to Ha because she was afraid that the loan sharks would find her. At the same time, Sung-gu and his gang were also here to look for Miss So-young. He checked all the employees here, but no one had that name. Ms. So-young was also checked, but she had changed her name. She advised him to leave because he couldn't come in without wearing cleanroom clothes. Thinking he was a director or something, he said he wasn't a director, just a deputy director. Just then, the colleague ran over and called Miss So-young by her real name. Knowing that her identity had been exposed, Miss So-young ran away. But running outside, she ran into 2 more guys. Then they beat Miss So-young up. On this side, everyone in the village was tipsy, so the party ended early. Taemin was given a bottle of ginseng wine by the village chief. He had had his eye on Haiji since she stepped foot here, so he wanted to invite her for another drink. Young Ran was afraid that Haiji would say something bad if she was drunk, so she stopped her. Then she helped Haiji back to her room to rest. Inside, Haiji asked Young Ran about that guy Dongmin. Because when she was at the chairman's house, she didn't have the opportunity to talk to him. Young Ran said that he was the most dangerous person in the village, so she advised Haiji to be very careful. Ms. So and her colleague were captured by Song-gu to ask about Young Ran. She wondered if he liked her Young Ran, or did they have some kind of shady relationship? Did she really not know, or was she just pretending? The person who married Chairman Sung-ho was her daughter. Learning about this shocked Ms. So. She had read about this case in the newspaper but didn't expect that girl to be her Young Ran. Legally, Song-gu must now call Ms. So-jan grandma. Ms. So-jan kept insisting that she didn't know where Young Ran was because they had cut off contact a long time ago. Even so, she revealed that there was a way to find Young Ran. In return, she wanted to receive something from Sung-gu. She was willing to sell out her own daughter just for money. The next morning, seeing Dongmin go to the strawberry farm, Young Ran also wanted to go along. She wanted to explain about what happened yesterday, saying that it was only because he suspected her that she did that. Was she planning to kiss me because of that? Because I can't be easily bribed with money, so she used her feminine wiles? Young Ran laughed when she heard that. It seemed like he had seriously misunderstood. Because he kept blocking the way I was going, I unconsciously panicked and pushed him away. I didn't expect that even though he has a child, he would be so naive. On this side, Haiji discovered Young Ran's schedule board. She wondered why Young Ran called Dongmin a marginal figure. Haiji then wanted to check Young Ran's suitcase. She tried all the passwords, but none of them were correct. She suddenly remembered Lawyer Lee's phone password, so she tried it. Unexpectedly, it matched the password for this suitcase. Haiji discovered that there was a lot of money inside the suitcase. This made her really excited. Meanwhile, Young Ran and Dongmin had arrived at the strawberry farm. While Young Ran was helping him pick strawberries, he noticed a large scar on her hand. Dongmin immediately remembered the girl who had helped him at Chairman Sung-ho's house, as they both had the same scar. On the way back, Dongmin asked Young Ran about the scar on her wrist. Young Ran insisted that it wasn't a scar. Dongmin said that everyone had a few scars on their body. He lifted up his shirt to show Young Ran his scar. On this side, Seon-young called her younger brother Song-gu to ask about the situation. On social media, a video was spreading of him not allowing female employees to take maternity leave and even aggressively trying to hit employees. Seon-young angrily slapped her younger brother for his stupidity because this video would greatly affect the image of the two sisters. She wanted Song-gu to fast for 3 days. Don't shave and appear with a haggard face to publicly apologize to the public. The police unexpectedly came to Lawyer Lee. They read an emergency arrest warrant for him on charges of embezzling public funds, and it was all due to the two Seon-young sisters behind the scenes. Seon-young also knew that Lawyer Lee was the one who released that video. She affirmed that the video wouldn't make things difficult for wealthy people like her. She would use money to remove it smoothly. As for Lawyer Lee, she would slander him in the newspapers that a lawyer wanted to become a tycoon, so he embezzled the corporation's assets. After the police escorted Lawyer Lee away, the housekeeper and the driver appeared. They asked Seon-young for permission to return to work in the chairman's house, and then she immediately agreed. Sitting in the car, Lawyer Lee sent a text message to Young Ran to switch to Plan B. She received the text message and rushed into the house. Young Ran locked the door and closed all the curtains. She took out a USB that was secretly hidden and started to follow the plan. Young Ran then went to an internet cafe to send an important email to the reporters under Lawyer Lee's email account. At the same time, Haiji and Taemin were here, so she hurriedly turned off the computer. On the other side, the female reporter Seung Hee received an email from Young Ran with evidence that Vice President Sun Gu of the Gasong Corporation was plotting to sell the company, along with a recording to prove this. Immediately, reporter Seung Hee went to the police station to meet Lawyer Lee. While the interrogating police officer was out, Seung Hee asked Lawyer Lee how he sent the email when he was arrested. He said it was a scheduled email. After confirming that this confidential information was accurate, Seung Hee contacted her superiors, and she wanted a slot on the news to talk about the Gasong Corporation. That evening, the news was broadcast, and Son Gu was watching it. They accused Son Gu of trying to sell the company to an investment fund abroad. They found out that Son Gu and an acquaintance named Kim had bought shares of the Gasong Corporation under different names, with the intention of transferring all their shares to an investment fund abroad. The television station broadcast a recording of Son Gu when he revealed that his sister, Seon-young, knew nothing about business. The television station was sure that a war for inheritance was breaking out between the two sisters in the Ga family. Previously, this plan had been conceived by Young Ran and Chairman Sung Ho. She wanted to help him split the two sisters of the Ga family, and hearing this made him very interested. Back at the village, Young Ran and everyone were also watching this case. Haiji suddenly revealed to everyone that Young Ran also had many noodle shares of the Gasong Corporation. But these days, the vice president is causing all sorts of problems, so it's worth very little. Knowing this, the village policeman couldn't help but admire Young Ran. And he also had information that Young Ran also had a black belt in Taekwondo. Dong-min turned around and saw that Young Ran was tying her hair back. That hair tie reminded him of the girl he had encountered at Chairman Sung Ho's house. On the way home, Dong-min suddenly called Young Ran by her real name. Hearing this made her freeze, and Dong-min kept asking if she was Young Ran. Young Ran pretended to be ignorant and asked who he was calling. In response, he said that she didn't have the talent to lie. "Don't you remember the first time we met at the late Chairman Sung Ho's house? Are you going to pretend you don't know until the end?" Young Ran affirmed that this was true. "Can you also pretend you don't know until the end? And if you grasp my weakness, what are you going to do? Just tell me straight what you want." Dong-min laughed in a disdainful manner. "I don't want anything. Is this how you live in this world? Are you going to cover up everything with money? So you must have read the newspapers and know everything, right? A child like me without proper parents and no one to protect me. Someone with a criminal record trying to struggle to survive by any means. That's what people say. But as soon as something is lost, the first person they suspect is me. Are you, Dong-min, any different from them? When you regarded me as teacher and when you learned I was Young Ran, did you look at me the same way? You might as well just demand money. That way I'll feel more comfortable." Dong-min was angry at what Young Ran said. He swore that he wouldn't say anything and didn't need a penny from her. Returning home, Young Ran revealed to Lawyer Lee that Dong-min knew her real identity. Young Ran wanted to know what Dong-min's weakness was so she could figure out how to shut him up. Lawyer Lee thought it was very likely his son. Lawyer Lee returned home and was startled to see the housekeeper and the driver here. The housekeeper said that they had investigated everything. "We both signed a legitimate labor contract with the late chairman, so the unilateral dismissal can be considered an unlawful dismissal." The two begged to stay because they had worked in this house for more than 10 years anyway. They saw this place as no different from their home, and hearing that, Lawyer Lee couldn't refuse. At the same time, Son Gu was about to flee abroad but was caught by Seon-young's people. That guy advised Son Gu to stay in Korea during this time. Son Gu refused to listen and even attacked him, but he couldn't do anything to this guy. Then the guy told Son Gu to get in the car quickly, and not to make a big deal out of it. The next morning, Young Ran proactively went to find Dong-min, and he wondered if she really hadn't left. "I told you that I can't escape. Are you going to reveal my identity?" But Dong-min didn't bother to answer. Soon after, Young Ran went to the farm alone to pick strawberries to help Dong-min, partly because she wanted to supervise him to prevent him from revealing things about her to everyone. On this side, the shareholders were having a meeting after Son Gu's scandal, when he intended to sell the shares to a Chinese company. They all wanted to choose someone to be the representative instead of Sun-gu. Half of them wanted to choose Sun to replace him, but the other half opposed it. They thought that Sun knew nothing about business. Here, everyone wondered why Sun hadn't come because she was the one who was hosting this meeting. Just then, Sun's people announced that she wouldn't be able to attend this meeting, and the press conference tomorrow would be changed to 2:00 p.m. today. A listening device was attached under the meeting table. Seon-young didn't participate, but she heard everything. Soon after, Seon-young met with reporter Shung-hai. She wanted to give Shung-hai a confidential piece of information containing documents about the directors of the Gasong Corporation. Although Gasong was thriving, there were many problems internally. She wanted Shung-hai to release that information. She wanted to sweep away everything so she could take control of the corporation. As for Shung-hai, she needed to carefully check the documents before reporting. On this side, Sun-gu was going crazy because he was being held back by his sister. He called the debt collector and found out that Lawyer Lee had been released. He told the debt collector to pick him up and bring Miss So-young too. He promised to pay the debt collector 100 million to do this. In recent days, Hai-ji had nothing to do, so she was very bored. She asked Dong-min if there was anything to do at the strawberry farm that she could help with. Hearing that, Young Ran told Hai-ji to go to school to teach the children ballet. Principal Miss Sun pulled Young Ran outside to talk about this, since the school's finances didn't allow them to hire another ballet teacher. Young Ran advised Miss Sun to rest assured because I would pay Hai-ji's salary. At the same time, Young Ran also revealed that Dong-min knew my identity. But Young Ran wasn't too worried because the people who knew about this were all within her sight. Hai-ji then submitted a resume for the principal to see. Mi Sun knew that this was a fake resume, so she advised Hai not to go to this extreme. She also wanted to know how Hai-ji and Madame Young Ran knew each other. Hai-ji revealed that it was since she came to work at the chairman's house. So what does Hai-ji want from the madam after knowing her identity? I just want to eat, drink, and watch movies with Young Ran. But looking at this principal, she probably asked for something in return from Young Ran, right? Hearing that, Mi Sun kept denying. Just then, the tough guy Song Tae was having people dig up the land in front of the school grounds. Mi Sun angrily wanted to meet Song Tae to talk things out clearly. As she ran over, she almost crashed into the excavator. If it hadn't been for Young Ran's quick thinking, and Dong-min angrily cut all the rolls of steel wire with scissors. Seeing that, Song Tae got out of the car to stop them. He warned Dong-min that he was destroying property on his land. Dong-min advised Song Tae to restore the scene. What if the children were injured while playing? Song Tae didn't bother to listen, and immediately called the police and accused 2 people of trespassing on my private land. Lawyer Lee received a call from his older sister, Mi Sun. She revealed that Young Ran had been arrested by the police. Immediately, Lawyer Lee went to find him. Reporter Shung-hai was reviewing the audit report of the board of directors of the Gasong Corporation, alleging abuse of company bank cards by the directors 32 times, and illegal special recruitment. Shung-hai continued to check X's information, and it was all positive articles writing well about her with volunteer activities for psychological treatment at the prison and free art education. On this side, Young Ran and Dong-min were at the police station. The policeman revealed that it seemed that superiors had interfered, so he advised Young Ran to find a private lawyer. This time, Song Tae wouldn't easily let it go, because he was in a hurry to get permission to build a nursing home before the election. Just then, Song Tae also appeared and was accompanied by a private lawyer. He accused Dong-min and Dong-jia of trespassing on his land. Meanwhile, Miss Sun was impatient because her younger brother, Lawyer Lee, still couldn't arrive. He wanted his older sister to stall for time because he would arrive in 5 minutes. Hearing that, Hai wanted to handle this case. Inside, the police officer asked Dong-min and Dong-jia to produce their identity cards. Young Ran was worried because her identity card was fake. As she was about to give it to the police officer, Hai rushed in to call for help, saying that a madman was chasing her. The police immediately turned to ask about Hai and take her statement. She testified ramblingly to stall for time, waiting for Lawyer Lee to arrive. A moment later, Lawyer Lee was here to work, and Hai quietly shrank from there. This Song guy then took out a picture of Dong-min and Young Ran illegally trespassing on his land. According to criminal law, Lawyer Lee believed that a crime was only established when there was a deliberate element, and negligent errors were not punished. At the same time, according to the Supreme Court, the crime of trespassing was only established when there was a clear intention to trespass, while the 2 people here had no such intention. Lawyer Lee then extracted the land registration map. Through this, it can be seen that the iron fence was erected on the land of the kindergarten. Because of this iron fence, Young Ran's shirt was torn, a shirt worth millions of won. So he asked Song Tae to prepare compensation for her physical and mental damage. Hearing this Song Tae guy began to tremble. On the other side, Seon-young was present at the press conference. She announced that her younger brother Sun-gu wouldn't be able to come, as he had attempted to take his own life this morning and was currently hospitalized. Sun-gu lost his parents when he was young and had been undergoing psychiatric treatment for a long time. After my mother passed away in a sudden accident, the stepfather he trusted and relied on also took his own life with a gun. Pressure from running the company, along with excessive public criticism, made him unable to withstand the psychological pressure and intended to end his life. Seon Young played her role with fake tears. She apologized to everyone on behalf of her younger brother. At the same time, she promised to do her best to lead the Gasong Corporation back to its position. Reporters kept asking about Sanggu's condition, but she refused to answer, a step of a fake fox that no one could have expected. Meanwhile, Sanggu's people were hunting down Young Ran, following Lawyer Lai, and they had found the town, but he had lost them on the way. At the same time, Sanggu saw Lawyer Lai and Young Ran coming out of the police station, and they ran downstairs, but everyone had left. Young Ran then stopped by the supermarket to buy something and saw Sanggu and his gang, and she quickly ran away. They took out a picture of Young Ran and asked the owner, but she said that she had left. But Sanggu's people still turned to threatening the owner. And seeing that, Young Ran began to reveal herself. Then she quickly ran away from their pursuit. Outside, Dongmin was waiting here, so she jumped into the car. They still refused to give up and continued to follow them. After running for a while, they also stopped Dongmin's car. Immediately, the two got out of the car to respond to them, and the two were facing more than a dozen guys on the other side. Seeing that, Sanggu told the debt collector to take action. In return, he promised to pay 2 billion. The debt collector took out a knife and intended to attack Young Ran, but unexpectedly the police were here, so he couldn't. Both sides immediately got into the car to escape because they didn't want to get into trouble. On the way back, Young Ran apologized to Dongmin, saying that because of her, everyone around her was in danger, and maybe she should leave the village. At the same time, Sanggu was also running away, but he got lost. And being in a tense situation, he took out medicine to drink, but it accidentally fell on the floor. He reached out to pick it up and accidentally went into the next lane. A car came, and he steered and crashed into a tree on the side of the road. On the other side, Dongmin took Young Ran to see the sea. He called this sea Mandivar of Muchang. Coming here, there's no need to think about anything and just look at the sea. Dongmin really didn't want Young Ran to leave. He advised Young Ran to continue living under the identity of the teacher. He also revealed that his son liked the teacher more than anyone. At the same time, he promised to protect Young Ran no matter what happened. Young Ran wondered why he wanted to protect her and why she could trust his words. Or should I write a contract to make sure you're satisfied? He didn't answer, so he took it as an agreement. On this side, Seon Young went to find Ms. So Young. She ordered her secretary to tell Lawyer Lee that if Young Ran didn't show up, she would kill this mother of hers. A tycoon's wife fled to a small rural village but was discovered by her greedy mother. She didn't care about her daughter's situation but instead saw her as a cash cow. Yesterday, Young Ran's whereabouts were discovered by the Seon Young and Seon Yu brothers. Fortunately, Dongmin stepped in to help in time. After a fierce battle, he helped Young Ran escape from the pursuers. Thanks to this, Young Ran became more trusting and fond of Dongmin. Through the security camera, she saw Dongmin renovating the farmhouse, especially installing more lights outside. Looking at his serious expression, Young Ran laughed warmly. It seemed that Dongmin had also begun to develop feelings for her. The next morning, Dongmin didn't drive to the strawberry greenhouse as usual. He followed Young Ran by jogging in the morning, actually to secretly protect her on the way. Today was the day that parents visited the kindergarten class. Hai taught the children ballet. This lesson was praised by all the parents. When it was Young Ran's turn, the principal was worried that she would reveal her true identity, but Young Ran was good at storytelling. By retelling stories from books, she also brought a very interesting lesson. But just as the lesson ended, the police suddenly appeared in front of the classroom. They brought someone with them, who turned out to be Du Jian's mother. She excitedly rushed to hug her daughter tightly, looking no different from a good mother who hadn't seen her child in a long time. But when the students and parents left, her selfish nature was immediately revealed. At the farm, she showed her daughter the wound on her face, saying that it was all caused by Seon Young. The day before, Seon Young had kidnapped Young Ran's mother, then called Lawyer Lai and threatened that if Young Ran didn't show up, her mother's life would be in danger. But at that time, Lawyer Lai had coldly hung up the phone, weighed it carefully, and didn't tell Young Ran. Knowing that her daughter wouldn't come to rescue her, while being held captive, she promised Seon Young that as long as she was released, she would do anything, even harm her own daughter. Now she shamelessly laughed at the fact that her daughter had married an old man, believing that her daughter was doing this for her own benefit. To extract money from her daughter, she blatantly stayed at the farm. To guard against this scheming mother, Young Ran secretly installed a security camera, pointing directly into the house. Outside, Haiji happened to overhear the argument between Young Ran and her mother. She immediately sent a message to someone. Because of her mother's appearance, Young Ran's mood became heavy. Dongmin's son, the boy Yuan, was very perceptive. He realized that the teacher's mood wasn't good and gave Young Ran a delicious candy. Looking at the innocent child in front of her, Young Ran became even more attached to this village. Haiji returned to the farm. She secretly took some money from Young Ran's suitcase, but was caught by Young Ran's mother, and the two immediately scuffled. At this time, Young Ran entered. She didn't blame Haiji for the theft. Compared to Haiji, she was more worried about her mother's plot. While talking, Young Ran's mother deliberately asked her daughter whether the chairman had really taken his own life or not. Young Ran didn't answer directly, making her even more confused, not knowing which side to take to make a profit. At this time, Dong Min appeared at the farm. Young Ran's mother took the opportunity to secretly take pictures of the two talking and sent all the photos to Seon Young. She had no idea that her actions had been recorded by the camera. Through the surveillance screen, Young Ran clearly saw everything her mother had done, but she couldn't understand what her mother was planning. For Young Ran, an enemy with an unclear purpose was the greatest danger. To keep the secret, she was forced to tell her mother about her current identity as a teacher and asked her to keep this a secret. As long as it was beneficial, she naturally didn't intend to say it. In Mujang, Young Rang's mother quickly approached Dong Min, starting to ask all sorts of things like investigating his household registration. Through that, she learned that Dong Min was a strawberry farmer and a single father. Today, Young Ran's mother came to the village supermarket. After buying things, she stood outside the supermarket taking pictures everywhere. As always, she sent all the photos she took without missing a single one to Seon Young and promised to quickly complete the assigned task. At the same time, Dong Min was at the strawberry greenhouse when he suddenly received a call from the supermarket owner. She reported that Yuan had just been playing in front of the supermarket and had now disappeared. Dong Min frantically rushed to find him. The loudspeaker immediately sounded throughout the village to search for a missing child. Young Ran also used security cameras to assist in the search. On the surveillance screen, she saw the figure of her mother in front of the supermarket where Yuan was playing, then witnessed the scene of the boy being led onto a car. Young Ran immediately questioned her mother, suspecting that she had lured and kidnapped Yuan. But her mother acted innocent, insisting that she didn't do anything and sarcastically saying that Dong Min was dirt poor, so kidnapping his son wouldn't bring any benefits. Young Ran immediately contacted Dong Min, while she herself followed the trail to the town. Finally, she found Yuan. The boy was almost hit by a car while crossing the street. Young Ran didn't think much, rushing to hug him. He sobbed, explaining that he had seen his mother. It turned out that this time Young Ran had really misunderstood her mother. Yuan had only seen a figure resembling his mother, so he followed a kind stranger onto the car to get to town. Dong Bin also quickly ran over and hugged his crying son tightly, both heartbroken and blaming himself for not understanding how much his son missed his mother. On the way back, the boy fell asleep, but still held his teacher's hand tightly. Young Ran didn't pull her hand away either. She was truly moved by the boy's heart. As for Dong Min, he was outwardly sulking, blaming Young Ran for risking her life rushing out in front of the car. But Young Ran realized that he was actually just worried about her. She gently gave Dong Min a delicious candy, making him laugh softly. Finally, Yuan personally saw his teacher home. Knowing that the boy always missed his mother, Young Rang gently talked to him. She also greatly admired Yuan. Although he didn't have his mother by his side, he had a father who loved him wholeheartedly. Thanks to Young Ran's comfort, the sadness in the boy's heart gradually disappeared. Meanwhile in Seon Yu woke up and discovered that he was being locked up in a mental hospital. In the past, his father and Seon Young had also experienced something similar. The person who locked up his father was their mother. Remembering the old nightmare, Seon Yu almost went crazy. Not long after, Lawyer Lee came to the hospital to meet him. He reminded Seon Yu that the person who put him in here was his older sister, Seon Young. The purpose, of course, was to compete for the company. Not only that, Lawyer Lee also suggested that the two should join hands to cooperate against Seon Young. He promised to help him leave the hospital and also help him sit in the chairman's seat of the corporation. Seeing that Seon Yu was still skeptical, he immediately produced a hospital certificate on which the person signing the name was his older sister. Seon Yu finally believed him, but he didn't trust Lawyer Lee and resolutely refused to cooperate. However, the days in the mental hospital were truly a torment. After only 2 days, Seon Yu couldn't stand it anymore. He proactively requested a meeting with Lawyer Lee. Lawyer Lee had been standing ready in front of the hospital gate for a long time. When he met him, Seon Yu said that in his hands, he had evidence of his sister's crimes. This was what Lawyer Lee was aiming for. But at that moment he discovered that Seon Young's people had found this place. He immediately took Seon Yu and ran away. The two managed to escape the pursuit. On the way, Seon Yu complained of a stomachache and wanted to go to the bathroom. Lawyer Lee stopped the car at the gas station, but a few minutes passed, and Seon Yu still hadn't returned. Feeling that something was wrong, he immediately went to the bathroom. Sure enough, Seon Yu suddenly rushed out, attacked Lawyer Lee strongly, then stole his car and ran away. Seon Yu escaped, but Lawyer Lee wasn't afraid at all because everything was within his plan. 2 days ago, while in Mujang village, he had seen Seon Yu get into an accident and become comatose. From that moment on, this plan had been arranged, and now thanks to the phone he deliberately left in the car, he knew everything. Yesterday, Seon Young contacted a mysterious person and ordered the elimination of Young Ran. Very quickly after that, a bus driver came to the kindergarten in Mang. That person's name was Hose. When he first arrived, Hose seemed enthusiastic and honest, but Young Ran wasn't comfortable with the stranger. She immediately asked the principal for his resume. The file clearly stated that Hose had worked at a Sungtae transport company. Young Ran immediately called that Sungtae to verify, but Sungtae only kept records of former employees for 5 years, while Ho's time working was 7 years ago. Young Ran could only secretly observe him, but in a short period of time she couldn't find any loopholes at all. At the same time, another stranger appeared in Mujang village, also a man. It was said that because the village was recently in season, Sungtae had called people to help. When she returned home, Young Ran caught her mother secretly taking money from the bed. Her mother, claiming to be the mother-in-law of the chairman of the corporation, demanded that her daughter give her 10 million won each month to shut her mouth. Young Ran understood that this game of pretense must end quickly. Just when there was new progress on the Son side, Lawyer Lai was still waiting in the hotel parking lot. Finally today, he saw Seon Yu contacting his sister Seon Young. Lawyer Lai eavesdropped and discovered that Seon Yu demanded that his sister hand over all the shares in her hand and threatened that he had a video of her killing someone. The person murdered by Seon Young was chairman's daughter. Seon Young indeed began to panic, ordering her subordinates to immediately bring Seon Yu to meet her. Lawyer Lai contacted Young Ran, reporting the current progress, saying that as long as she obtained evidence of Seon Young killing the chairman's daughter, Young Ran would be the ultimate winner of this game. Ending the call, Young Ran checked the camera that she had installed at the intersections, discovering that one camera had been smashed. She immediately went to that place to find the person who had broken the camera. Sure enough, that person was still at the scene. Young Ran intended to control him, but the other party attacked violently when Young Ran was about to be unable to resist. Fortunately, at the crucial moment, Dong Min had arrived in time. Seeing that, the guy ran away. Young Ran and Dong Min immediately chased after him, discovering that he had escaped into the temporary dormitory of the male labor group. Dong Min stepped forward to check. Seeing that the person Sungtae had called to work seemed very suspicious, he decided to find Sungtae to ask clearly tomorrow. Young Ran told Dong Min that when she was fighting just now, she had seen a scar on his collarbone. Dong Min took Young Ran's phone and set his number on speed dial, so in case something happened, he would arrive faster than the police. Young Ran returned home and once again checked the camera, discovering that when she was fighting, Haiji was standing nearby and secretly sending a message to someone. From this moment on, Young Ran became even more suspicious of Haiji. The next day, Dong Min asked Young Ran more carefully about the characteristics of the stranger, then went to find Sungtae in the village, obtained information about the hired laborers who came from other places, and then met with each of them one by one, asking if anyone had ever seen a man with a scar on his collarbone. In addition, he also went to the police station, pretending to say that he had met a suspicious person in the village, asking the police to increase patrols after preparing everything. The rest was Dong Min's protection for Young Ran. Tonight, Young Ran discovered that the mysterious person had struck again at the security camera. She immediately rushed to the scene. Dong Min also quickly arrived. The two coordinated to block the camera smasher in the middle, working together to control him. Unexpectedly, he was the hired worker that T had called, but when checking his collarbone, there was no scar. He explained that he only received money to work. Someone hired him online to destroy the camera. The location of the devices was also sent by the other person. According to the phone number in the message, Young Ran called the person behind, unexpectedly hearing a noise from the corner of the alley. Young Ran and Dong Min immediately chased after him, but the person had disappeared without a trace. Young Ran had to call Lawyer Lai, but his phone couldn't be contacted because at this time in Sun, Lawyer Lai had run into trouble. Yesterday, he had ambushed in the hotel waiting for Seon Young to appear, but the person he was waiting for was not Seon Young, but the henchman sent by Seon Young. To prevent Seon Yu from being arrested, Lawyer Lai immediately had an idea and pressed the fire alarm. The alarm went off violently. Seon Yu took advantage of the chaos to escape from the hotel room, while Lawyer Lai was discovered by Seon Young's henchman. He ran down to the parking lot but was attacked from behind by 2 men, then kidnapped. It turned out that they were members of the gang. Previously, Seon Yu had hired them to find Young Ran, but now Seon Yu was missing and not paying, so they came to Lawyer Lai. Lawyer Lai quickly said that he was also looking for Seon Yu, promising that as long as they helped find him, he would pay them a full 100 million. The group received the deposit and began working and immediately released Lawyer Lai. At this time, Lawyer Lai checked his phone, saw the file of the bus driver that Young Ran sent, and he continued to hire those people, asking them to investigate the driver Hose. As for Seon Yu, he went to a person who made fake passports, requesting that he have a passport in 3 days to escape to Southeast Asia. Meanwhile, the village of Mujang seemed peaceful, but inside the village there was also an undercurrent surging. A child in the kindergarten accidentally spilled water on Jose. Jose had to go change his clothes. At that time, Haiji happened to pass by and saw a very large scar on Jose's back. Young Ran questioned Haiji, wanting to know the reason why she followed and monitored her last night. Haiji didn't deny it, but Young Ran didn't continue to ask because she had too many headaches, only hoping that Haiji would leave Mujang soon. She no longer had the mind to pay attention to Haiji, but Haiji's eyes were glued to Ho's as she realized that he was observing young Ran. Haiji immediately called Dongmin's friend, asking him to call her after half an hour, then proactively approached Ho's, asking him for a ride on the bus when she got off work. Ho's agreed, and on the way, Haiji kept asking him all sorts of things. Each time, Ho's avoided answering, making him even more suspicious. She also paid attention to his shirt. In the hot weather, Ho's buttoned all the buttons. The more she asked, the more tense the atmosphere in the car became. Fortunately, Haiji had prepared in advance. Dongmin's friend had called in time. The call ended, and the atmosphere in the car gradually returned to normal. But as Young Ran and Haiji predicted, Jose was indeed the hitman sent by Seon-young. Seon-young had investigated, knowing that Young Ran had changed her identity, so a different intention arose in her mind. If Jian died with a fake identity instead of as the chairman's wife, she would avoid a lot of trouble and it would be convenient to inherit the property. At this time, Young Ran was worried about Lawyer Lai when her mother called drunk, babbling and telling her to pick her up. Young Ran took Dongmin's car to the village liquor store and saw that her mother was very drunk. She took her into the car and drove straight to the police station but lied to the police that she didn't know this woman. Before leaving, Young Ran gently reminded, "Mom, please sober up, don't let your daughter suffer." Dongmin didn't understand why Young Ran left her mother at the police station. She only gently revealed her feelings of loneliness, saying that when she was in school, she had once intended to steal a pack of sanitary napkins from the supermarket, but then stopped because she knew it was wrong. Since then, she had learned to be tough to protect herself. She had put that item back in its place, but the supermarket owner insisted that she had stolen it and demanded compensation. At that time, her mother came but didn't protect her daughter at all, only saying that she didn't have money for compensation, then told her daughter to go to the juvenile detention center for a while. For a mother like that, Young Ran would never forgive her. At this time, Dongmin understood her feelings. He gently took Young Ran's hand, and together they left the police station. The next day, the whole village organized a football match, and the daytime atmosphere was very lively. Later, Young Ran received a call from Lawyer Lai. He had finished investigating, knowing that Ho's had a criminal record, and it was almost certain that he was the hitman sent by Seon-young. After confirming the hitman's identity, Young Ran sent a message to Ho's telling him to come to her house tonight. Ho's arrived on time but was carrying a can of gasoline. Tonight was the time for him to strike. Young Ran was also ready. She quietly stepped out from the hidden corner, raising her gun and aiming directly at Ho's, but Ho's was extremely fierce and reckless. He immediately counterattacked and controlled Young Ran, then kidnapped her, and then poured gasoline all over the room. But just when he was about to take action, Haiji suddenly appeared, attacking Ho's from behind. Haiji hurriedly rushed to save Young Ran. Unexpectedly, Ho's quickly woke up, holding a knife and stabbing straight towards Haiji. Haiji crouched down, and Ho's pulled the trigger, aiming straight at Young Ran. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Dongmin arrived in time, successfully stopping Ju. In the chaos, he wrestled the gun from the opponent's hand. At this time, the sound of police sirens rang out from afar, and Ju had to abandon his mission and escape. Dongmin learned that Haiji was the one who had called the police. The ambulance had also arrived. Dongmin followed the ambulance to the hospital. The next morning, Young Ran woke up and learned that Haide was in critical condition. Young Ran immediately contacted Lawyer Lai, explaining the current situation and instructing the lawyer to arrange for Haiji to go to the best hospital in Seoul. After everything was arranged, Young Ran returned to the farm but didn't see her mother anywhere. Now that things had come to this point, Young Ran decided to change her plan, leave Mu Chang and return to the chairman's mansion. Du realized that his teacher was about to leave, so he cried and asked her to write her phone number on his hand. He said that he would call her every few days. Young Ran couldn't bear to leave Du either, so she wrote her phone number on his hand. Du again asked about the bracelet that he had given her. It was a lucky bracelet, and he hoped that she would always wear it. Young Ran shook hands with Du, then put on the bracelet and promised that she would never take it off. A moment later, Dongmin arrived at the farm, but the place was empty. Young Ran had left. Young Ran returned to Seoul and once again lived in the chairman's mansion. Lawyer Lai asked Young Ran to share her next plan. Young Ran said that next, she would confront Seon-young directly and hold a press conference to publicly announce her identity. In the meantime, Lawyer Lai had to find the video of Seon-young killing the chairman's daughter at all costs. Young Ran believed that if she publicly appeared, Seon-young would not dare to take action against her. Lawyer Lai didn't dare to agree with Young Ran's plan. What if he couldn't find the video? Would the chairman's revenge plan just be abandoned like that? Young Ran firmly stated that if the plan ultimately failed, she would personally take care of Seon-young. On Seon-young's side, Ju came to see her. For Seon-young, Ju was a weapon that she had painstakingly trained. Seon-young was a professor at a drama academy and used to go to prison to provide art therapy for inmates. After looking at the file, Seon-young had taken a liking to Ju. Ju had to go to prison for killing his own parents and had no intention of repenting during his time in prison. Using her acting talent, Seon-young staged a play about Ju being abandoned by his parents, stirring up his emotional wounds. Then, Seon-young suggested that the person Ju killed was not his parents but the devil, so he didn't need to repent. Based on theatrical therapy, Seon-young had completely manipulated Ju. On the day Ju was released from prison, Seon-young came to see him and gave him a new name. She also gave Ju a photo of the chairman's daughter and said that the person in the photo was the devil. For Ju, Seon-young had given him a second life. Therefore, he absolutely obeyed Seon-young's orders. The failure of this mission made Seon-young dissatisfied with Ju. She reminded him not to forget the mission of purifying the world. Haiji was still in a coma, and the doctor wasn't sure when she would wake up. At this important time, Lawyer Lai came to see Sister Du, a colleague in Young Ran's mother's factory. In the past, Sister Du had followed Lawyer Lai's orders to monitor Young Ran's mother. And now, Lawyer Lai brought Sister Do into the chairman's mansion, arranging for her the position of housekeeper and instructing her to monitor the housekeeper Choi and the driver, who had sided with Seon-young. Young Ran was not happy with Lawyer Lai's arbitrary arrangement. She didn't want to drag more innocent people into this matter. But Lawyer Lai reminded Young Ran that the chairman's goal was only one, which was to avenge his daughter at all costs, and he hoped that Young Ran would remember this. Very quickly after that, housekeeper Choi reported the news of Young Ran's return to the mansion to Seon-young. Subordinates also reported to Seon-young about Young Ran holding a press conference tomorrow. Faced with the current situation, Seon-young was still as calm as if nothing had happened, seemingly having a plan in her heart to deal with it. In Mu Chang, Du and Dong Min were both missing their teacher very much. With the teacher not being there, even Du's favorite canned meat tasted bad. Dong Min's cousin, who was also the director, revealed that a real teacher would be coming to Mu Chang tomorrow. At that time, the teacher would stay at the farm, so she told Dong Min to clean the farm first. Dong Min began cleaning and saw the diagram of the relationships between the characters in Mu Chang that Young Ran had written on the whiteboard. On the diagram, Young Ran had a good grasp of the emotional relationships and personality characteristics of the local people. She also especially noted that the relationship between her and Dong Min was a master-servant relationship. Seeing these things, Dong Min missed Young Ran even more. Inside the mansion in Seoul, Lawyer Lai reminded Young Ran that once she publicly appeared at the press conference, she would never be able to return to her previous life. Young Ran's eyes were firm. This time, she was ready to trade everything. The next day, Young Ran officially appeared at the press conference as the chairman's wife. She answered many questions from the media and said that she would announce the chairman's will at the shareholders' meeting in half a month. A reporter grilled Young Ran, asking if she had married the chairman for love and asking her to respond to being called a seductress by outsiders. Facing this question, Young Ran insisted that she and the chairman came together because of love. The people in Mu Chang were gathered to watch the news about Young Ran's press conference, including Dong Min. When he heard Young Ran affirm that she married the chairman for love, a feeling of disappointment arose in Dong Min's heart. At the press conference, Young Ran didn't avoid any of the reporters' questions. She looked very confident and calm. At the same time, Seon-young entered the elevator. Accompanying her in the elevator was a strange middle-aged man. A moment later, the elevator doors opened, revealing a bloody scene. Seon-young had been stabbed. Immediately, the media at the press conference received this news and simultaneously questioned Young Ran. Young Ran only emphasized that whether the truth was exposed or not completely depended on Song-gu, the director of the corporation. After saying this, Young Ran left the press conference under the escort of Lawyer Lai. At this time, Song-gu was hiding alone in a hotel, living in extreme fear. When the press conference ended, the people in Mu Chang all knew Young Ran's true identity. Immediately, some people criticized Young Ran for being a seductress who married an old man, but some people defended her, saying that at least when teaching in Mu Chang, she was a good teacher who was loved by the children. Dong Min brought the new teacher to stay at the farm, but he kept a distance from Young Ran. The local police were investigating Ju, but the house he lived in was empty. Inside the house, Dong Min discovered a burned picture of the Virgin Mary. Remembering that day Ju splashed gasoline intending to burn Young Ran alive, Dong Min had quietly hidden the picture. In Seoul, Young Ran was about to face a situation hanging by a thread. That day, the man who attacked Seon-young went to the police station to surrender and falsely confessed that it was Young Ran who had ordered him to stab Seon-young. A reporter learned the identity of this man and immediately contacted Lawyer Lai. Hearing the name of the man, Young Ran's expression was a bit unusual because this man was her mother's lover. In this critical situation, Lawyer Lai was also somewhat flustered. As far as he knew, the man had submitted evidence of Young Ran inciting murder. Lawyer Lai seemed extremely worried. He didn't want to have to clean up the mess for Young Ran forever, and he thought that perhaps the chairman had overestimated her. Young Ran fell into a difficult situation. As she had predicted, this time her mother was behind the scheme. She had followed Seon-young's instructions to complete this self-inflicted play. After that, she had received 500 million won from Seon-young. To win, Seon-young had also investigated the sibling relationship between the principal of the Mu Chang kindergarten and Lawyer Lai, using this to threaten him. To protect his family, Lawyer Lai seemed to have no choice. Dongmin's best friend secretly liked Haiji, and he planned to go to Seoul to visit her. While talking, he also saw through Dongmin's thoughts. Dongmin was a bit sad. He was a single father, unsure whether his feelings for Young Ran were right or not. His friend reminded Dongmin that love should be wholeheartedly moving forward, not hesitantly retreating. Encouraged by his friend, Dongmin decided to face his heart and go to Seoul with his friend. In Seoul, Dongmin took all his courage to confess his love to Young Ran. In his eyes, Young Ran was a kind-hearted person, the person who made his heart flutter. However, after hearing this, Young Ran decisively rejected this confession. She said that when everything was over, she would leave this country, as well as throw everything away to go to a place where no one knew who she was. After Young Ran finished speaking, she left. The housekeeper saw through her gloomy appearance and came to comfort Young Ran. She knew that Young Ran had feelings for Dongmin, but her heart was too heavy to admit it. Dongmin returned to the hospital to confide in his friend. The news in the newspapers and on the radio all said that Young Ran was a bad person, a seductress, but the Young Ran he knew was a good person, always shouldering everything alone for fear of hurting others. Dongmin felt sad, not because he was rejected by Young Ran, but because he couldn't do anything for her at this time when she was in a dangerous situation. The next day, the police came to her house and arrested her on suspicion of inciting murder. Young Ran didn't resist. She knew clearly that it was all Se-yeon-young's plan. After arriving at the police station, Young Ran met her mother's boyfriend again, the man who had falsely accused her of hiring someone to kill. For Young Ran, this man was a childhood nightmare, who had committed terrible acts against her. Out of fear, she ran into the bathroom, but when she saw the bracelet that Du had given her on her wrist, Young Ran suddenly gained more courage. The police presented evidence of bank transfers, trying to prove that Young Ran had hired someone to kill. She refused to answer any questions and requested to speak privately with the man. In front of Young Ran, the shameless man still repeated the slander. Young Ran calmly coped. She took out a recording, in which was the voice of her mother. In the recording, her mother admitted that she had arranged for her boyfriend to do bad things, and the mastermind behind it was another person. Thanks to this recording, Young Ran was temporarily exonerated. The man threatened her as before, but this time, Young Ran was no longer afraid. She called him inferior and declared that she would make him pay for his actions. While Young Ran escaped smoothly, Lawyer Lai was also trying to save himself. Yesterday, Lawyer Lai was threatened and kidnapped by Se-yeon-young. Fortunately, taking advantage of the gangster's inattention, he secretly untied his bonds, guessed the drawer password correctly, and retrieved his phone. He read the housekeeper's message, learning that Young Ran had been arrested by the police. After watching the news, he understood the whole story and couldn't help but sigh. Indeed, everything had to be done by him. To help Young Ran, Lawyer Lai, despite suffering from a fear of heights, climbed out of the second-floor window and escaped successfully. As soon as he was free, he went to the police station to pick Young Ran up and take her home. After that, Young Ran went to see the woman who had provided her with the recording, who was her mother's friend. The decisive key lay with Song-gu. She had to get the evidence that Song-gu was holding about Se-yeon-young killing the chairman's daughter. Threatened by his sister, recently, Song-gu had been looking for a ship to flee abroad. But to escape, he needed money. For money, Song-gu contacted Young Ran. Over the phone, Young Ran promised that as long as Song-gu handed over the evidence to her, she would take responsibility for sending Se-yeon-young to hell, and Song-gu could also escape from his sister's control. Without waiting for Song-gu to answer, Young Ran decisively hung up. She believed that Song-gu, when pushed to the brink, would definitely contact her again. Sure enough, a few minutes later, Song-gu called back, agreeing to hand over the evidence to Young Ran, but requiring her to prepare 300 million in cash and bring it to the port that night. While Young Ran and Song-gu were negotiating to protect the one he loved, Dongmin also took action. He carefully examined the Virgin Mary card stolen from Ju's house and discovered that it was engraved with the name of a museum. Based on this clue, Dongmin searched online and discovered an old story about Se-yeon-young having organized an event at the museum. Next, he also found out the truth that Se-yeon-young had once gone to prison to provide psychological treatment to Ju while he was serving his sentence. After realizing the relationship between the two, Dongmin began searching for information about Se-yeon-young. He saw news that Se-yeon-young would be holding a play performance at the theater tonight. Dongmin snuck into the theater alone. As expected, he saw Ju entering and leaving the theater. Ju was summoned to Se-yeon-young. Se-yeon-young explained her situation, that the evidence of her inciting the murder of the chairman's daughter was in the hands of her younger brother. If the evidence was revealed, the corporation that she had struggled to hold on to would fall into the hands of others. After saying this, Se-yeon-young gave Ju another card, on the back of which was the address of a port. That was where her younger brother, Song-gu, was hiding. Song-gu's hiding place had been revealed to Se-yeon-young by the man in charge of helping him cross the border. At this time, Song-gu was urging the organizer to leave immediately tonight after receiving the money. Young Ran had prepared the cash and planned to meet Song-gu. Before leaving, she didn't forget to bring a gun. At the same time, Dongmin was also secretly following Ju. Ju went to meet the man in charge of crossing the border. Under his threat, this man revealed the time that Son-gu intended to leave and the country he planned to go to. Receiving the news, Ju drove to the port. Dong-min followed him all the way. At the same time, Young Ran and Lawyer Lai had also arrived at the port. The two split up. Young Ran would go to trade with Son-gu, while Lawyer Lai would stand guard and wait nearby. While waiting, Lawyer Lai received a call from Dong-min, learning that he was following Ju. Upon discovering that Dong-min was also at the port like him, Lawyer Lai instructed him to stay put and absolutely not to take any rash actions. On this side, Young Ran had met Son-gu. He brought a USB drive and said that all the evidence of his sister Seon-young's crimes was on it. At this crucial moment, he had no reason to deceive Young Ran. After confirming Son-gu's attitude, Young Ran believed that the content on the USB was real, so she handed over the cash to him. Unexpectedly, just as she was about to receive the USB, a bullet from behind struck Son-gu. It was Ju who was carrying a gun. He rushed in extremely fiercely, intending to kill Young Ran as well. Fortunately, Young Ran had prepared in advance. She used the gun in her hand to resist and plunged into a melee with Ju. During the fight, Young Ran gained the upper hand. She pointed the gun and pressed Ju to tell her who had ordered him to do this. She almost couldn't believe that Seon-young could kill her own brother. But unexpectedly, Ju was a madman. He burst out laughing madly, even unhesitatingly pulling the trigger of the gun in Young Ran's hand, shooting himself. After a gunshot, Ju died on the spot. Hearing the gunshot, Dong-min and Lawyer Lai ran over one after the other. Unfortunately, Seon-young had planned this in advance. Right now, the sound of police sirens rang out from near the port. Realizing that the current situation was a trap set by Seon-young, Lawyer Lai resolutely wiped away Young Ran's fingerprints on the gun, then stuffed the gun into Ju's hand, and then tried to get Young Ran to flee. However, the sound of police sirens grew closer and closer, and the port was surrounded by police. To protect Young Ran, Dong-min suggested that Young Ran and Lawyer Lai go first, while he would stay behind to block the way. Young Ran couldn't leave Dong-min alone. Lawyer Lai tried to persuade her, promising that he would definitely rescue Dong-min, and now Young Ran had to protect herself first in order to reverse the situation later. Young Ran was persuaded. Before leaving, she hugged Dong-min and vowed that she would definitely save him. After saying this, under the urging of Lawyer Lai, Young Ran hastily left the scene. Soon after, Dong-min was surrounded by police cars, being considered the murderer who killed Son-gu, and was arrested. Very quickly after that, Seon-young saw her brother's body, knew that the USB had been destroyed by Ju, and also knew that Dong-min had been arrested as the murderer. Seon-young then contacted Young Ran, saying that if she wanted to save Dong-min, she had to come see her in person. Carrying a gun, Young Ran went to the meeting point alone, angrily scolding Seon-young, who had killed her own brother, as inhuman. Seon-young was still cold. She had written a will for Young Ran in advance. As long as Young Ran signed her name on it, agreeing to exchange her own death, she would spare Dong-min. Young Ran hesitated. She pulled out the gun and aimed it at Seon-young, but when she thought of Dong-min's situation, she still couldn't bring herself to act. Ruining everything, Young Ran returned to the mansion, and in despair, she intended to end her life with a gun. Unexpectedly, right at this moment, the chairman who had died long ago suddenly appeared before her and said, "Now that things have come to this, you want to end it by dying?" Young Ran was extremely surprised, not knowing whether the chairman in front of her was real or just an illusion. Soon after, Lawyer Lai also arrived, surprised and not understanding how the chairman could come out. Young Ran angrily questioned Lawyer Lai, not understanding why he and the chairman had hidden this from her. The chairman explained that overthrowing Seon-young and changing her life was not an easy thing. To win this battle, he had prepared several plans early on. Fortunately, Young Ran was still sane enough. Right at the moment she intended to end it all, she realized that even if she died, Seon-young would not spare Dong-min. Realizing that Young Ran had learned how to think like Seon-young, the chairman decided to revise his will. In addition to inheriting all the assets, Young Ran would also inherit the position of chairman of the corporation. Doing so was to allow Young Ran to borrow the power of the corporation to confront Seon-young. However, the things that happened tonight made it difficult for Young Ran to accept everything. While she was thinking, the chairman's illness relapsed. It was still Lawyer Lai who carried him into the secret room and injected emergency medicine. The next day, Lawyer Lai explained the chairman's current situation to Young Ran. He didn't have much time left, and the symptoms of dementia were getting worse. Therefore, Lawyer Lai returned the chairman's will to Young Ran. According to the chairman's instructions, Young Ran couldn't wait until the shareholders' meeting, but had to announce this will right at Son-gu's funeral. For the chairman, he needed to witness Seon-young's ending before he closed his eyes. As for Lawyer Lai, helping the chairman was both to make money, but more importantly, to repay the kindness the chairman had bestowed on him by sponsoring his education in the past. Young Ran also gradually realized that now that things had come to this, the purpose she was working for was no longer simply for money. She wanted to expose Seon-young's crimes and make her suffer the punishment. Today, as the chairman's wife, Young Ran fired the housekeeper and the driver. Later, she would go to the police station with Lawyer Lai to visit Dongmin, who was being held in custody. In front of the station, Lawyer Lai instructed Young Ran to stay in the car, because now was not the time for her to show her face. Lawyer Lai used his lawyer status to go in to see Dongmin. Although he was being held in custody, Dongmin was still only worried about Young Ran, hoping she wouldn't be hurt. Lawyer Lai gave Dongmin a piece of paper written by Young Ran. In it, Young Ran promised to get him out quickly. Dongmin trusted Young Ran, but just at this time, the police wanted to transfer him to the prison camp ahead of schedule. Lawyer Lai immediately spoke up, saying straight out that the evidence was insufficient and the time had not come. This way of doing things by the police was against the regulations. However, the police didn't allow any explanation, insisting that the evidence at the scene couldn't prove that Dongmin hadn't killed the Jew guy. Lawyer Lai guessed that the traces at the scene on Ju's body had been hidden by Seon-young. Young Ran acted decisively, realizing that the urgent thing now was to find the body of the Jew guy at all costs and conduct an autopsy. Lawyer Lai immediately took action, mobilizing many people and asking them to search for the body in the hospital. Inside the mansion, the chairman was in very good spirits tonight. Young Ran had cooked instant noodles for the chairman. That was the way that Dongmin had taught her. The chairman still remembered Dongmin, remembering that he was a diligent, hardworking, and honest young man. The chairman also said that he trusted Young Ran, and it was because of that trust that he had carried out this plan until now. Young Ran was extremely touched, determined to confront Seon-young to the end. Therefore, Young Ran went to see the housekeeper, the person she trusted the most. Young Ran asked her to help her choose an outfit. At Sung-gu's funeral tomorrow, she wanted to wear an outfit that everyone would never forget. At the funeral the next day, Young Ran wore a red suit, a very prominent color, attracting attention. After placing flowers for the deceased Sung-gu, Young Ran quietly leaned in and told Seon-young that she hadn't died. Seon-young must be very disappointed. Next was the main drama. She would turn the tables and expose the truth about Sung-gu's death. After the memorial service, Lawyer Lai publicly read the chairman's will in front of everyone. In the will, the chairman requested that the shareholders support Young Ran in taking the position of chairman. Hearing the contents of the will with her own ears, Seon-young tried her best to hide her emotions. After Young Ran left, she threatened the shareholders not to act rashly. Soon after, Lawyer Lai received a call, reporting that the body of the Jew guy had been found in the morgue of a hospital. Yesterday, Seon-young had contacted a prosecutor, requesting that the body of Jew be listed as anonymous. And now, Seon-young ordered her henchmen to immediately cremate the body. The henchmen acted quickly, running to the hospital, intending to steal and take the body away first. Fortunately, Young Ran arrived in time, pointing out that the hospital had not followed the relevant rules. While the two sides were arguing, Lawyer Lai arrived. He not only brought a group of bodyguards but also brought the cousin of the Jew guy. After examining it, the cousin confirmed that the deceased was indeed the Jew guy. Therefore, from now on, this person was no longer anonymous. Hearing the news, Seon-young was so angry that she lost control, slapping the henchman hard in the face. After that, she ordered the henchman to contact the prosecutor's office and the police, demanding that the autopsy results be handled properly. The police and Seon-young colluded, instructing the forensic doctor to record in the Jew guy's autopsy report that the death was due to an accident. Fortunately, this time, Young Ran and Lawyer Lai arrived in time. The two also brought an officer from the serious crimes team of the regional investigation team. This officer took over the investigation and autopsy of the case. Finally, Young Ran and Lawyer Lai had gained the upper hand. Next, as long as the autopsy report was released smoothly, Dongmin would be declared innocent and released. To overthrow a cunning Seon-young, Lawyer Lai had come up with a very good plan, which was to seek help from his older sister, the director. That same day, Lawyer Lai contacted his older sister in Muchang. At the same time, Young Ran discovered that the chairman's dementia could not be saved, and he didn't even remember who he was. Young Ran knew that, from now on, she had to act even faster, so that the chairman could witness the ending of this revenge while he was still awake. Therefore, Young Ran had instructed the housekeeper in advance, asking her to keep an eye on all movements in the mansion, and if any suspicious people appeared, to report to her immediately. The next day, the director's sister arrived in Seoul. What surprised Lawyer Lai was that his sister had also brought some residents from Muchang. Everyone came here to save Dongmin. The police showed the director and the residents a photo of the Jew guy. Everyone testified that this was the guy who had intended to come to Muchang to work as a fake school bus driver, and had also plotted to assassinate Young Ran. The problem was that the residents hadn't personally witnessed his criminal acts. Fortunately, at this time Haiji arrived at the police station. Last night, Haiji, who was lying on the hospital bed, had finally woken up. Haiji remembered very clearly the injuries on Ju's body, and testified that this was the person who had intended to kill Young Ran and attack her that day. Haiji's witness testimony was the strongest evidence. The director and the villagers didn't give up either. The director brought a petition written by the people of Muchang, and they all went together to the petition room, vowing to save the innocent Dongmin at all costs. Lawyer Lai handed the letters that his sister brought to Young Ran. They were letters from the children in Muchang written to their teacher, Sei Mi. The children all loved and missed their teacher very much. Lawyer Lai also brought another good news. The autopsy results were in, confirming that the Jew guy had shot and killed Sun-gu first, and then committed suicide. Young Ran was overjoyed. Next, it would be their turn to use Seon-young's methods against her. That same day, the two contacted reporters, giving them the evidence of Ju's murder and explaining the connection between him and Seon-young. When they learned that Seon-young had again incited someone to kill even her own brother, the reporter vowed to expose the truth and immediately contacted his superiors to write an exclusive article. After the incident was exposed by the media, the next day, the police came to find Seon-young to take her to the station for questioning. Unexpectedly, Seon-young had prepared long ago. Right at this moment, her henchman stepped forward to take all the blame. After that, Seon-young contacted the prosecutor, the police, but no one answered the phone. Now that things had come to this point, no one was on her side anymore. Just when it seemed like Seon-young was about to fail, unexpectedly, the situation reversed. The fired housekeeper was at home packing her luggage when she happened to see the image of the chairman on the surveillance screen. Following the spilled soup stain on the floor, she found the chairman's hiding place. The chairman looked dazed, his body covered in dirt. Realizing that the person in front of her was just a senile old man, the housekeeper took a selfie with the chairman, then sent the photo to Young Ran to demand hush money. After that, she used the chairman's phone to contact Seon-young. Seon-young requested that the housekeeper turn off all the security cameras in the mansion. The housekeeper did as she was told, immediately cutting off the camera switch. That same day, Dong-min was released from prison camp. Lawyer Lai and Young Ran went to pick him up. But right at this moment, Young Ran received a call from the housekeeper, reporting that Seon-young had broken into the mansion. The situation was urgent. Young Ran had no choice but to leave Dong-min and return. In the darkness, Seon-young went deep inside the main building, and finally met the chairman, who was still alive and kicking. The chairman continued to pretend to be senile, mistaking Seon-young for his own daughter. He pretended to care, telling her to be careful with Seon-young. In front of Seon-young, the chairman deliberately said that she had too many schemes, only seeing assets in her eyes, and ironically said she was so pitiful. Things reached their climax when the chairman revealed the truth about Seon-young's father's death. It turned out that her biological father had been killed by her mother, also for the assets. Since then, Seon-young had never received a kind look from her mother again. Seeing that the other party was showing pity for her, Seon-young, who was pretending to be the biological daughter, couldn't continue to act. She used a screwdriver to stab the chairman in the neck. However, Seon-young didn't feel as relieved as she thought, because before dying, the chairman had thanked Seon-young, waiting until the chairman had completely stopped breathing. Seon-young took out the fake will she had prepared, using the chairman's hand to imprint a bloody fingerprint. But what she didn't know was that everything had been recorded by a hidden camera. When Lawyer Lai and Young Ran returned to the mansion, they saw that the chairman had died long ago. The housekeeper had cut off all the power before Seon-young arrived, so the camera in the secret room didn't record anything. But Young Ran suddenly remembered that on her first day at work, she had discovered an independent camera in the hall. At the shareholders' meeting, Seon-young relied on the fake will to gain the support of 30 shareholders. Just as she was proudly speaking, the large screen suddenly lit up, showing a video of the chairman. In the video, the chairman pointed out that the person who killed his daughter was about to appear. What followed was the scene of Seon-young attacking the chairman. As soon as the video ended, Young Ran and the police entered the hall. Even at this point, Seon-young was still unwilling, fantasizing that she could reverse the situation, and still spoke wildly to Young Ran. Although the chairman had Young Ran succeed him, she knew that her abilities were limited. Therefore, she decided to step back behind the scenes, only holding the role of a board member to receive dividends. With the truth exposed, Seon-young's evil deeds were widely reported by the media. Her former accomplices also confessed everything one by one. Before the trial, she ordered her lawyer to save her at all costs, but she didn't expect that Young Ran would appear in court as a witness. She presented a USB drive, inside of which was stored the entire process of Seon-young murdering the chairman's daughter. As it turned out, this evidence was found by Young Ran and Lawyer Lai. This was a backup video found in the hotel where Sang-gu was staying. Finally, Seon-young was sentenced to death. Not accepting the sentence, she ordered her lawyer to prepare an appeal, but unexpectedly the lawyer chose to resign right on the spot. With all threats resolved, Young Ran decided to dismantle all the surveillance equipment in the secret room. However, while turning off the camera, she inadvertently discovered a folder that the chairman had left for her. In it, the chairman expressed his regret for dragging her into the revenge war, saying that he would end everything himself and only hoped that she could live happily in the future. At the end of the movie, Young Ran bought back the land of the Muchang kindergarten and gave the school permanent free use. Haiji and Dongmin's best friend got married. Young Ran and Dongmin also lived a happy life. In prison, Seon-young met Young Ran's mother. Indeed, evil needs an even more evil person to control it. The story ends here. Thank you for watching until the end. If you like it, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to follow the latest videos. Goodbye, and see you again.